Happiness is what everyone wants. We often say, happiness is seeking or gaining. Happiness is having to let go of yourself, and destroy the affliction. It's not about achieving anything outside. True happiness. You don't have to rely on anyone, anything outside. It doesn't come from feeling and a sense of impermanence. It's a happy, peaceful state of mind. So we need to see our afflictions clearly and use the anti-anxiety method. Finally, let go of the disturbing emotions completely. It's about finding happiness at your fingertips. There are hundreds of thousands of types of stress, but it's like everything in the world. It only exists temporarily. When the spirit is restless, you just need to use a method to solve it. Finally, let go of attachment, to bring the mind back to its pure and innocent nature. Happiness doesn't come by itself. The 5 basic human afflictions are greed. See Rongi Yard. It makes the human spirit uneasy. From the Buddhist point of view, human beings are sentient. They are born. If there is love, there must be love. Most of us understand, but I can't control love. Feelings should be dominated by emotions that cause suffering, even because of momentary emotional arousal. To make a mistake, then it's too late to regret. If a person doesn't have feelings and ideas, it will be cowardly. It's like animals. Sentiment for loved ones, people and things that are related to you, like or dislike, that gives rise to emotional phenomena. Sentiment is not higher than thought. But if people don't have feelings, will be like plants or minerals. Only when the selfish feeling is itself always dominated. Good and bad can be good or bad. There is absolutely no peace. But the psyche is pure and very peaceful and stable. A spirit born self-emotion, when feelings can't say it all. There is sorrow in the heart. Restless, hence irritated spirit. The spirit was like the ocean waves in a storm. There is no will to rule, and insecurity is very harmful. But some people are very insecure. Some people are less insecure. When the spirit is restless, it's like the fire of ignorance, sometimes crying out loud, sometimes laughing and even hitting people. Appear violent tendencies. Force because of that. A person who works at a job where mental insecurity gets worse. People who work according to personal feelings are also scary. Like that, it's not just making it difficult for yourself. It also takes others away from you. So when we're faced with a problem, it's best not to let the spirit of insecurity go unheeded. But someone said, if human life doesn't have ups and downs, change is like living in indifference. People must be happy and sad, then life is rich. So there's nothing bad about being upset. Reality is that we should adjust to our own emotions. Let's think. Every time the spirit is restless, it's not known how many cells die in the body. Not only is the body unhealthy, the psyche is not happy. If people live in a happy state, angry. If you are happy, you'll not live long without benefit. Do it yourself for the environment. Life is usually fun. Peace, the spirit is stable. The psyche is also comfortable. We want to avoid mental insecurity. You must first know, insecurity will cause serious consequences for you and others. That's how you control your insecurities. Restless spirit. It will cause one bad thing after another. Like people with high blood pressure. your life will be in danger. It could be first hit by the wind and then paralyzed. It may lead to death. So it's very important not to get upset. Methods of prevention is before the spirit has become restless. I knew for myself that it was going to happen. In this important moment, we have to use concepts to solve it. Tell yourself that mental insecurity is not something you should do, because in the end, the unfortunate thing is still yourself. Even others are involved. In addition to using the concept of Ra, we have to make an effort to practice like meditation, or often recite the name of Amitabha Buddha. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva also received a lot of help. Before the spirit is not yet exasperated, mindfulness can transform the spirit. That gives rise to pure thought. But when we apply concepts or methods, you must also understand the purpose. Don't force yourself. It's about solving the problem wisely. We can just observe it, without thinking about it. Then mental insecurity can be solved very simply. We're living in a time of chaos, stress, and hurry. It makes the human spirit uneasy, so it's understandable. And how to control mental insecurity. It's very important. The simplest method is, in everyday life, we shouldn't bring up controversial issues. When the spirit is restless, we can take a relaxing walk or have tea, listening to relaxing music, or find friends to chat with. The higher method is to observe your thoughts. Where to start? We need to know how thoughts arise. Where to start? If we don't know what it is, it causes mental insecurity. You don't have to pay attention to it, because leaving it alone doesn't happen. No matter what happens, it's over. No need to be angry when the spirit is restless. It's not only useless, but it also makes my mind agitated. If in a moment of anger, speak disrespectfully or act rudely, make the spirit chaotic, it really hurts my body. Once we know the cause mental insecurity, then observe the birth and death of affection and understand the effect of God for health. This is a very clever way of dealing with it. This wisdom is to know the clues to the birth and death of the restless spirit. After we know how to deal with it, then behave according to the rules. If everything is clear, then you're no longer involved in anything yourself. If you are no longer busy, the spirit will be fine. There is also a higher method. There's no need to pay attention to things, no matter what the clues are. What's the reason? What's the argument? We have to see if our thoughts are good. Is it a wise thought or a disturbing thought? If it's a disturbing thought, I can't get over myself. There is no wisdom. Who is loved by everyone? Because they have wisdom. Does anyone want to be stupid? Every time we face insecurity, whether the thought is good or bad, you ignore it, or how they arise. Then immediately stop thinking. That's why Buddhism calls stress heat. No there, fin no. Heat is fire, even though we don't. And hell, but the body suffers. It's no different in hell. From there, I went to hell. It's the work of fools. We have to build it right away. Disturbing thoughts arise, but it's very difficult to do this sequentially. So we have to start with step 2. It's also from understanding the thought that arises. Effort to practice. Wait until you are honest. Then we can go one step further, is to detect the thought that comes to an end. Accept. Anyone who is capable of this step. We call them phantoms, but the present is not without its afflictions. It's that they own themselves, not to suffer from afflictions. It doesn't hurt others either. Career and subconscious. In Buddhist parlance, for the people, you can't control your behavior and your spirit. It's closely related to everyone's karma. The idea of karma is just many lives. Our past with all kinds of behavior, including the behavior of the body, the behavior of language, and the behavior of psychology, to form a capacity. They're constantly accumulating and focus on their current lives, but not all jobs that we've created in past lives. It all shows up in this life. We have to know which karma is strongest and which career best corresponds to our circumstances. New can appear, of course, if the power of karma is too weak. There is no opportunity for the right circumstances to develop. It won't work, but there's a lot of psychologists who analyze that. Career is subconscious. They claim that our behavior and our lives, it's controlled in the unconscious. It has an impact on development, our power and our sense of judgment. The subconscious in psychology is the self. It can't be controlled. They can't self-discipline either. So it broke. I don't know when such a thought will arise. Moreover, the phenomenon continues to appear. It can be influenced by learning experiences, from childhood to adulthood, and it's generating power in our brains. You can also provide information yourself. It's not what happens outside or in the network body, but my mind often tells it. It turns into a kind of subconscious. So we have. The subconscious comes from karma, because of the power of some karma in the past, relatively strong. So the present life, we can remember some things very clearly. They also leave a deep impression on us. And from that came some concepts. Finally, some ideas emerged, turned into a latent consciousness. Even though the subconscious starts spontaneously, but not like karma. The subconscious is always moving. In our lives, they are always looking for opportunities to show up. But karma moves sometimes. It also means they may or may not appear in this life. As we learn more and more about our subconscious and our karma, the less chance of a problem arising, because we already know what that is. It's like being afraid of ghosts. The fear of ghosts is that most people don't know what a ghost looks like. Where are the ghosts so always suspicious of the devil? If they know what a ghost looks like, know where it's hidden. Certainly not afraid of how secure it is. In Zen Buddhism, there's a conversation between the Buddha and his disciples. Possibility. The ability to feel. There are many problems in the mind. I want to help you feel safe. So Bodhi asked him where my mind was. Bring out your restless mind. Show me. As a result, the master could not find his mind at that time. At that time, Bodhidharma said, I have peace of mind for you, the inner cause of human insecurity. It's not outside after all, but out of jealousy. Worry, mind, anger, greed. Cause conflict. This conflict includes me and myself, or me with someone else. It can be real, it can be imaginary. Like jealousy. Sometimes we see others succeed. In the mind is very unpleasant. We must rejoice in praise. Have fun with them. And again. Their success makes us smell good. You even have the opportunity to learn. Instead of being jealous of others, just by finding out how they can succeed. At the same time, consider how you do it. They can be as talented as they are. Sometimes others can do it. We try our best and still can't do it. So let's think again. Your newspaper's blessing is not enough. It takes more effort. Then try to honor the grace of God. Of course, it will succeed. If others are successful, it's because they have to go through a lot of hard work, even if they don't work hard in this life. But wait for the past, they also recite accumulations. Some people see others rich, have a position of fame, feel no admiration. I think I've worked hard all my life, but there is no happiness before and after. Then let's think again. Others are rich. Happiness is the result of past efforts to practice. We shouldn't admire them. We shouldn't be jealous. Out of greed. It is also what makes the human mind uneasy. Living people know enough not to call greed. People who don't know enough are always looking for something called greed. People who are bored are very miserable. He who knows enough will be enough. We don't need to think. Find ways to compete with others. Just try to work. Of course, it will bear fruit. It shows that the relationship is not real. We shouldn't be sad about this either. If you think like that, we'll eliminate the cause of greed and suffering. In fact, the restless mind mainly suffers itself. Self-redemption affliction. When we feel insecure, you have to understand why I am insecure. After finding out the cause, I see a lot of trouble that we don't have to worry about. When our minds are restless, think again. Ask yourself what the cause of insecurity is. I think too much. There's really nothing worth doing for us. Affliction and sadness. When we are calm, our mind will be calm. Out. When restless, can also recite the name of Amitabha Buddha or Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara. If you specialize in Buddhist thought, will no longer think of disturbing problems. Of course, slowly, the mind will be peaceful. People have trouble when they become habits. Then the feeling of negativity gradually ceases to exist. Only the phenomenon of affliction remains. It's also a bad habit, like people who value money. It's like seeing money as hungry. When I saw the money, I wanted to take over. This feeling of hunger is disturbing. If a person often feels hungry like that, when I see the money, I want it back immediately, not even considering whether to take it or not. Then they become vices, not afflictions. So vices and afflictions are very different. It's not just our afflictions that hurt us. Sometimes they hurt others. If when defilements arise, they have not yet come out, maybe the other person hasn't been hurt, but hurt himself. It makes me very miserable. From a general view, people can be divided into two categories. One lives by feeling, two lives by reason. People who live by stubborn emotions are without reason, deliberately causing trouble. People who live by reason are rational and wise. So, most people agree to accept rational people. And for the sentient, they don't dare to touch. Close, in fact, is not quite right. Sometimes it's easier for sentient people to live with people, but rational people tend to be cold. The latter is actually not that bad. Rational people, everything is according to the rules. No change and flexible like a machine. Each screw is in a fixed position. Can't be changed. If people Like machines, what is life? Is interesting. Relationships between people that affect each other. Can't help but change. So emotion and reason have to work together. Sentient people need reason to help. The believer needs to have feelings to reconcile. That's the one who practices bodhisattva. Sensibility is really a pure kind of sensibility. It's emotional after it's refined. It is also the compassion of the bodhisattva. But reason is another word for wisdom. But wisdom is not the same as reason. Faith cannot handle things. But wisdom, it can be adapted to the opponent. In the process itself, inappropriate adjustments are considered 7 failures. Born of affliction. That way we can live with people. There are many afflictions, but I'm not affected myself. He is the wise man. If you only have feelings, you're easily bound by them. You only have reason. Will become too standard. As a machine. Chaotic and discordant society. Until now, people have a lot of problems. And proper rationality. When you feel 36 sufferings, you make one. Some people call themselves sentient. When you accept your own beliefs, it's not easy for people to accept. Society is also here without peace. There's only emotional and rational conditioning. He really is a wise man. To bring compassion and light to the world to be happy. Desire when desire exceeds need is greed. If life knows enough desire. If the mind does not run, it will be peaceful. What is the desire? According to Buddhism, desire is not simply wanting more. It's also a strong desire. A clinging to material things. Desire. It's best expressed through our 5 senses. The secret to what's beautiful. I like the sound, or I like pleasant smells. The tongue likes good taste, and the body likes pleasant sensations. Basically, whenever we have an excessive interest, it's the greed that's present. But people can't live without food, sleep, or the senses. So what's the line between need and greed? That's when we want too much, even things that aren't necessary. For example, a bed to sleep in is enough. Some people want more beds. Many luxurious bedrooms. Greed is like an invisible monster. It always forces us to want more. Want to own more. When you get what you want, we are afraid of losing and keep looking for more. Money is a classic example. Even if you just need enough money to live on. But many people keep accumulating. Fear of lack. So how do we overcome greed? The simple answer is to know enough. When we know enough of what we have, we will feel happy and peaceful. Instead of always wanting more, focus on sharing and helping others. That's the path to a meaningful life and fullness. Dharma says greed is the root of suffering. We want to solve the problem of suffering. We have to start with greed first. When you want more than your needs, it is called. But people often don't know how much they need. It's also difficult to distinguish the difference between need and desire. It should always feel lacking. It's actually not that hard to distinguish between needs and wants. If you are thirsty, drink water. This is the need. But drinking refreshments just us. One drink is enough. If precautions are needed at any time, wish to store tuba glasses. Then this mentality is like raising children to rely on old age. Collect wheat when hungry. This is greed. The problem that must be solved first is the need. What do you need later? Do I need that much? Because there's no way to predict anything, so there's no need to think. People eat poorly. You can't maintain your body. Men and women who don't have sex can't maintain their progeny for not giving birth to life. We can see the food. Sex between men and women is a normal human thing. It can be attributed to the cause. Bad things are caused by people seeking too much, immersed in matter. So there's no way to save ourselves. It's like being passionate about love, or like to play dirty. These things are bought for themselves out of greed. Anxiety is also talking. People die for money, birds die for food. Of course, if we have real interests, and his ability to achieve such a goal, it's nothing. But if we're overburdened with our work, I will redeem, take a lot of trouble, beyond basic survival needs. People also like to see beautiful scenery, listening to music, or generally wanting to see more. Listening to a lot of people is normal, so people enjoy the beauty. And music is an instinctive reaction. No need to hide from it. Trees in the park for everyone to enjoy. Just look at it and let it naturally appear in front of you. As long as we enjoy the beautiful scenery. What about music? If we listen to our favorite music, then of course listen with interest. This is also a way to enjoy. But if we see beautiful flowers, I want to break it and bring it home. It's the same with music. If you listen to music, you forget yourself. Quit your job and immerse yourself in it. Or listen to good music and get into it. The more you enjoy, the more you sink. I like to listen more and more. So don't stop running. The desire to possess is greed. So the pursuit of quality. The good life is human nature. But if it turns into attachment, it will bring a lot of trouble. Desire and love are not bad. But desire often leads to people's greed. When the desire for love and covetousness arises, it turns into trouble. But greed must also distinguish between good and bad. It's like love can be a dedication. And desire can also be hope. I hope for myself and the world as well. More beautiful than civilized progress. This is about greed and greed. To be willing, turn it into expectation. So craving and lust. You can also switch directions. Well developed. Actively contribute to society. Mind. Greed often brings us a lot of trouble. So how do we get rid of detoxification? Using alms to combat greed is the best solution. To give is to let go of your stuff. To help others overcome difficulties. He even gave up his intellectual time. Or use things. Your resources to help others. When we worry about others. The pursuit of happiness and benefit for others. You will get a lot back yourself. Let's take ourselves as an example. We're monastics, nothing. But when we see people living in poverty, because I want to help them improve their lives. So we thought about how to call on the Buddhists to be compassionate. As a result, there are more and more people who agree, willing to contribute wealth. Please help us. Ask us to call. People are responding more and more. The concentration of forces is also wide. Should work more and more developed. It's like Lao Tzu said, because of you, the more I have. Give people more and more. Is also to say, the more we get, the more we get. It doesn't have to be hard. It just comes. It's like water in a well. The more people use it, the more the water flows out without stopping. If people don't use it, the well's water never flows out. That too, if we don't give our wealth to others, not only wealth there is no more. I'm worried about how the money should be spent. When you are about to die, give it to someone. So if we really want to give alms, even if there is no object, there is no reason. It's because we make a wish. Try to do your best. There will be to give. True altruism is service to sentient beings. In the mind, completely do not expect to be answered. There is no greed. That's how it's possible to reach the realm of perfect wisdom. Blessing is also complete. It's like the Buddha. Fame is only temporary. The purpose of human beings is to take nothing but money. But these things are not even looking for Ra. Sometimes they don't invite themselves. So, it's important to have the right attitude about it. And the most important thing about fame is having actual achievements. If there is only a name, there is great suffering. Fame is not a tool, because someone with a name. Of course, there's a place in society. Someone who has the ability to make a career, develop talent. Getting a reputation is not a bad thing, but it's very prestigious. It's just that everyone knows. You shouldn't make a name for yourself. Yes, others show success.